That is not correct.
Oh, sorry. What movie did you make?
We made a movie called The Puffy Chair.
Oops. I'm sorry. Sorry, very sorry.
I'm out of here, dude.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
I'm an elderly, distinguished LSD 60s director. Sorry, Puffy Chair. Now, how did you put that film together? It's a feature-length movie, and how did it happen?
We had made a couple of short films that were done very cheaply on mini DV.
For example?
We made a movie called This Is John. It was a $3 film that we made in our kitchen in Austin, Texas.
You know, by the way, that the Crank 2...
Crank 2 was shot on this camera, which is key. Lloyd is bringing up a good point. You don't necessarily need a very large camera to make a good movie. So we made The Puffy Chair on a little camera.
So we just decided, you know, that we were going to make a movie that day, and all we had was a digital camera. We went to 7-Eleven and got a $3 tape, and we improvised a 20-minute scene where I shot it and Marc improvised it as an actor based on some details of an experience that had happened to me prior to that, and we edited it down to about 7 minutes, and we submitted it to Sundance, and we got in Sundance.
We have this schadenfreude about Sundance because of Trey Parker, who made me go there, and I found it extremely unpleasant. And part of it is probably because I've never had a movie in Sundance. How did it happen that you got that movie into Sundance?
Yeah, we just submitted it, and we thought they were joking when they called us and said we'd gotten in. And I think it's pretty easy to rip on Sundance, and particularly, you know, if you're not a filmmaker who gets your films into Sundance. But I think Sundance is essentially responsible for the success we have right now in our careers, because it's, you know, it's the best place in America to get your film seen. It's one of the only places where distributors go to buy movies. And we had our first short there in 2003, and we had our second short there in 2004. And then our first feature, The Puffy Chair, which we had made for $15,000, you know, we went there and we sold it out of Sundance. That's one of the key rules to independent filmmaking, is have parents who are willing to give you $15,000.
I mean, you don't really need $15,000. Marc and I have always subscribed to we kind of call it the available materials school of filmmaking. You know, write a script around the materials that you have. You know, if your parents have like a vacation house, shoot there. Or if you have a horse, or you know, if they have an interesting sexual relationship, you might just shoot that.
There's an argument to be made that there's two schools of producing. One is you go out and try and find the money, and the other is you take whatever you have available and then you produce the film from that. And we've always been more of the opinion that you should make the film, and more importantly, tailor your script and tailor your story to the budget that you have available. So you don't want to make Days of Heaven for $1,600 because you need 35mm film and beautiful period piece location and clothing, but you know, you can make a movie like Clerks now for that budget. So that's kind of our theory of producing. The other way of going out and finding money can be fruitful, but particularly with the economy and the nature of independent film right now, it forces you to not being in control of your own destiny on some level, and you have to wait for the money to come, and sometimes it can take you 5 years to get around to making your movie, and then you realize, wow, I was 22 then, now I'm 27, and I don't really give a shit about this script anymore because I'm in a different life place. Generally, make the movies with what you have, and make them cheaply, because you're probably going to mess up a few times, and make your mistakes less expensive and less painful, and just keep making stuff until you get it right.
The small movies that we do, we don't really even delineate the roles. Producing for us is making something happen out of nothing. A lot of people, when they start to produce something, they just get a big spreadsheet out and they start looking at jobs that have to be filled, and they start figuring out, oh, can I hire this person? What about unions? We're just like, no, what's the simplest, easiest, shortest point to make this film? The reality is if you're coming from nowhere and you don't have a name in film, the best case scenario for you is that you've made a film that people actually want to watch.
What's very important to realize is that the programmers at film festivals are not seeing tons and tons of great movies and they don't know what to choose. They're seeing about 3 to 4 good movies a year. They generally feel like everyone's making shit. Not that Puffy Chair is the greatest movie ever made. It was a tiny little shitty looking movie shot on DV. No genre and no stars, and nothing particularly to sell it except for that people connected to it. Don't think about sales agents. Don't think about trying to meet programmers. Don't think about anything else other than trying to make a good movie, getting it in an envelope, and getting it to the people. If you do that, you're good.
From our perspective of being directors, we're looking for producers that are going to be totally in love with the project, and not only in love with the project, but in love with our previous movies and the way that we make movies, because the things in life that we found that open doors are passion and are the love for what it is that you're doing. You can fight all you want, but nothing speaks volumes like when you really love something, it opens people's minds and it opens people's hearts and it opens doors for you to get all the almost impossible things that you have to get done to make a movie happen.
At minimum, you're going to spend a year with a project, so it's really important to be connected to the material and not just do it because, oh my God, there's a chance that George Clooney is going to do this, but to do it because I believe in this story for whatever reason, and then that you can follow it through. On an indie level, you have to be able to oversee everything and carry a huge train. You know, on a bigger budget studio level, a lot of times it's about having good connections, but you know, it sounds corny, but passion really is the key.
The reason I produce my own movies because I want total control.
Yeah.
The stuff I do, nobody wants to see. So
I don't believe that. People want to see your stuff. You have a subsection of people that are obsessed with your stuff, but the general public doesn't want to see.
Don't sit around and talk about things too much. And it's essentially to make movies and not make meetings. You can spend a lot of time talking, but you know, take your little camera and make shorts, and make shorts under 10 minutes for cheap, and let yourself mess up. And then, you know, maybe after 5 or 6 of those, which only cost you $5 or $6 a piece, you'll figure out what you uniquely have to offer. And once you got that, then, you know, go out and try and make your big movie.
Get your stuff in front of audiences. I mean, get your stuff seen by strangers, not your friends, not your family. If you can't get it into film festivals, if you can't get your films in any film festivals, it probably means that people don't want to see your movie. It's very important to sit with an audience and watch your movie, because ultimately, you know, that is what you're doing. You're making a piece of art that is a communication between you and your audience. And like Lloyd was saying, the general public doesn't like his movies, but there's a subsection of people, and a very sizable subsection, that are obsessed with his movies and could probably not live without his movies. Be really conscious and honest about who your audience might be, and, you know, find those people and be honest with yourself about your own skill level, so that you can afford yourself the opportunity to, you know, screw up and get back up on the horse and do it again and improve your craft, because it's a really complex art form.